Haas completely shocked the world when the team catapulted itself from being plumb last the previous year to Kevin Magnussen finishing 5th in the Bahrain season opener. But Haas's sudden upswing in performance hasn't been without added scrutiny, given the team's unexpected leap in lap time occurring in parallel with Ferrari's own boost in pace. Some even started suggesting Haas have cheated as multiple rival team principals questioned the team's close links to the championship leaders, calling the Haas a white knockoff of this season's all-conquering Ferrari car, something we will be covering in depth in today's video. 3 team bosses have brought the American team's performance into question as they all called for FIA to tighten the rules of intellectual property exchanges between the 10 constructors. Toto Wolff was the first to break his silence over the matter, as the last year's omnipresent backmarker team is now at times challenging his 8-time championship-winning outfit. Haas took a huge leap forward from last place. It's an interesting step. It's a learning curve for us because, as an organization of 2,000 people that has been successful in the past, we're now struggling with teams that are much smaller. They must have done a great job, Wolff praised Haas before bringing their close alliance with Ferrari into question. I think the rules need reform because none of the teams should be able to cooperate in a way that we're seeing today. Everybody deserves to perform well, and people should get credit when they've done a good job. But some of the job hopping or entity hopping on the same premises is just creating arguments that are not necessary for the sport, he concluded, aiming his critique at Haas sharing a wind tunnel facility with Ferrari as the American team set up offices just a stone's throw away from the constructors' Maranello campus. There are sometimes things in the rules that, if they don't work for you, you cannot go and change it, Steiner said in response to his Mercedes counterpart. Mercedes was winning the World Championship 8 years in a row. They had a very strong engine, and good for them, they did a good job. But nobody said, oh, we now need to change the engine rule because Mercedes is winning everything. There is governance in place. And if certain people think they can change everything by just speaking, I don't think that is going to happen. Steiner took a subtle dig at Wolff before admitting he's enjoying being in the position where the legality of his team is brought into examination. You know, these allegations have always existed and always will. I stay calm. If we are good, they call our car a white Ferrari. If we are bad, then no. I'm starting to find that ridiculous. You have to work hard for envy. You get pity for free. I wish the others would be green with envy because that means we did a very good job, he concluded. But it wasn't just Toto Wolff who was keen on questioning Haas's booming rise to the sharp end of the midfield. Despite the Mercedes car taking a hit this season, the 2 Silver Arrows have generally held the edge over the Haases, meaning the American team isn't Wolff's main concern, as he's rather looking for ways to close up to the championship leaders Ferrari and Red Bull. But both McLaren's and Alpine's team bosses quickly joined in on the conversation, as their teams are directly being affected by the sudden rise of Haas, with Andreas Seidl of McLaren going a step further, suggesting intellectual property might have changed hands and suggesting for the FIA to ban 2 different teams from sharing a single wind tunnel. As soon as you allow that, there will also be a transfer of intellectual property to the other car, said Seidl regarding the wind tunnel sharing. It makes B teams overly competitive compared to teams like us, while also benefiting the A teams, which is even more concerning for us. But Steiner wouldn't let this one slip, as he quickly took aim back at the McLaren chief. Some people think that they can change everything just by opening their mouths, but thankfully, it doesn't work like that. Fortunately, Andreas is not running the FIA, Guenther added. It is believed the FIA was approached by multiple teams seeking further clarification over Haas's Ferrari links and demanding the governing body to look into the parallels between the 2 cars. Alpine's Ottmar Snafnauer is understood to be at the forefront of the FIA bid, as he's been rather outspoken about an investigation into the issue needing to take place. It's a small team that's done well over the winter, from last to sometimes 3rd fastest team, and it's a bit surprising. I thought that the pecking order would stay almost the same because, generally, in a big regulation change, over the years that I've been in Formula 1, the bigger the regulation change, the more it favors those with know-how and the infrastructure and the tools to actually exploit the new rules. So, it's a bit surprising that the Haas are where they are for a small team, but I trust the FIA will investigate and come to the right conclusion between how similar the 2 cars are. They could go out for coffee together, especially if they're partners, they can exchange ideas. How's that latest floor going? And you don't need to try that, it won't work, Zofner suggested regarding the 2 teams sharing the same Venturi tunnel facility. The Alpine boss is no stranger to collaboration between two constructors, as it was just 2 short years ago when he found himself in Guenther's shoes of being accused of copying a rival's car. After its reveal, the 2020 Racing Point quickly earned the nickname of a pink Mercedes around the paddock, given the close parallels between the last season's all-conquering Mercedes W10 machine. Racing Point, now rebranded as Aston Martin, at the time also shared a wind tunnel facility with Mercedes. The team was fined €400,000 and was stripped of 15 points in the Constructors' Championship as it got confirmed they directly bought intellectual property from Mercedes regarding the brake ducts, with a further ban of 3D cameras in the paddock, which allowed the team to deconstruct Mercedes' car and build their own machine all around it. But the Haas-Ferrari link is quite different, completely invisible to the naked eye. Despite Zafnauer's suggestions of the close parallels between the two racing cars, both race machines look completely different. The Haas chassis is substantially unalike to that of Ferrari, and the two cars really don't have that much in common. But there's no denying the two teams are helping each other. Following the introduction of the budget cap era, most teams were forced to dismiss staff members in pursuit of much tighter and leaner economic operations. Ferrari are believed to have dropped close to 100 employees, and Mattia Binotto didn't hesitate to openly admit where he sees their future. If I have to reduce my organization, I'm certainly more happy to know that those guys are joining Haas and reinforcing their team instead of being simply on the market or available to whatever other teams, he said at the beginning of 2021. And his wish came into fruition as Haas indeed secured over 30 engineers from the Scuderia to join their operations next door, among which was Ferrari's chief designer, Simone Resta. But it seems the Ferrari link ends right there. Excluding the transition of personnel and Ferrari supplying the customer team with power units and transmissions, both parties insist there's no colluding taking place, with Guenther Steiner openly welcoming regular FIA checks to be carried out in the team's Maranello branch. The FIA is keeping good track of us, what we're doing. They were again yesterday in our offices to inspect, and I invite them. They can come along once a week, once a day, whenever they want. We have nothing to hide. We work to the regulations, he added. Being asked whether the added scrutiny overshadows the glory of the team's brilliant results, the Italian had the following to say: "I would say after a while, you get used to that. I would rather have this, being told that we're doing something that isn't right because we're doing a good job, than being like last year and everyone feels sorry for you. I'd rather have it the other way." Knowing we are not doing anything wrong, it's a good place to be, the Haas boss concluded. All tussles aside, we are of the opinion that Haas haven't cheated in any way, shape, or form. We believe the sudden boost in performance is simply a combination of the Ferrari power unit taking a massive step up and Haas's own conscious decision to write off the 2020 and 2021 seasons, knowing that big regulation changes were just around the corner. And kudos to them, they delivered and really hit the ground running. But we want to know what you guys think. Do you think there is more below the surface than meets the naked eye? Do you believe the two teams directly benefit from one another's findings given their close proximity? And where do you think Haas will finish in the constructors? Let us know in the comments down below. We've let YouTube decide which video of ours you would enjoy watching next the most based on your own unique watching habits and preferences. Let's see if they are right.